नमस्कार।
PM Modi rocks even in United States of America. Wherever PM Modi goes, his charm follows. People of all rank and file chant Modi, Modi, Modi. It is for sure you hear people raising slogans Bharat Mata Ki Jai and Vande matram as he lands on foreign soil. Positive vibes and his charismatic personality makes PM Modi world's most popular leader with an approval rating of whopping 76%. Even US congressmen listen Modi with huge enthusiasm. PM Modi fetched best of the deals for India that otherwise looked impossible. As the saying goes, Modi hai to mumkin hai. But here is one thing that certainly perturbed PM Modi, and he expressed his concerns loud and clear, but seems world is yet not listening him. I'm sure you will be all ears shortly, so without further ado, let's get started. Hello and welcome. My name is Shailesh Kumar and you're watching National Defence. This picture of PM Modi with India's permanent representative in United Nations holding a Guinness World Record will go down in history. The certificate reads, the most nationalities in a yoga session was achieved by permanent mission of India to the United Nations, USA in New York on 21st June 2023. PM Modi once again shown India's soft power to the world. On the very first day of his official state visit to the United States of America, starting from 2015, United Nations started celebrating 9th International Yoga Day on 25th June. Many of us would ask why PM Modi is touring the world, meeting people, addressing foreign nationals as he addresses joint session of US Congress, engaging Indian diaspora, and so on and so forth. Some would even think that he may be doing it for political reasons to win votes in elections. Some would, as usual, say that he is camera GV, the one who loves to be clicked by camera person. I'm sure you would get a clear picture by the end of this video as why PM Modi is resorting to such gimmicks, whether in UK, Australia, Papua New Guinea or Japan. To better understand this, just listen to what he said when he addressed joint session of US Congress second time amid chants of Modi, Modi.
We must revive multilateralism and reform multilateral institutions with better resources and representation that applies to all our global institutions of governance, especially the United Nations. When the world has changed, our institutions too must change.
To understand PM Modi's foreign policy facade, one has to see the structure of 193 nation strong United Nations and United Nations Security Council, the UNSC. India was among the charter member of the United Nations that signed the declaration by United Nations at Washington DC on 1st January 1942 and also participated in the United Nations Conference on International Organization at San Francisco from 25th April to 26 June 1945. As we all know, UN's importance lies in its ability to foster global cooperation, preserve peace, protect human rights, provide humanitarian assistance, promote sustainable development, and uphold international law. By bringing countries together, the UN strives to create a more just, secure and prosperous world for all, whereas UNSC's role lies in maintenance of international peace and security, peacekeeping operations, conflict resolution and mediation, authorization of military action, sanctions, international criminal justice, non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. So United Nations and particularly UNSC virtually controls what goes on in the world. The role of UN or UNSC has not diminished despite emergence of regional and local groupings like G7, G20, SC or Quad, China and Central Asia Forum. In fact, you can say UNSC is the world's most powerful body that literally dictates terms. The United Nations Security Council currently has 5 permanent members, which are United States, Russia, France, UK and China, and 10 non-permanent members. Non-permanent members are for 2 years. Since the formation of the United Nations after the end of World War II, this membership structure remained same, except the name of Republic of China, which is Taiwan, was replaced by People's Republic of China. That also I will try to tell you in a short while little later. To change structure, it is important first to know what requires to change it. The Charter 5, Article 23, Clause 1 of UN Charter states the permanent members of the Security Council. Secondly, according to Chapter 18, Article 108, amendment, quote, amendments to the present charter shall come into force for the members of the United Nations when they have been adopted by a vote of 2/3 of the members of the General Assembly and ratified in accordance with their respective constitutional processes by 2/3 of the members of the United Nations, including all permanent members of the Security Council. So it is noteworthy that the only way to make any amendment to the UN, one would have to amend the Charter. That means if India wants to become permanent member of the UNSC, India would require full support of 2/3 of the General Assembly and all votes of the 5 permanent members P5. While India had become non-permanent member in USC on 8 occasions till now, and Dr. S. Jaishankar already declared India's candidature again for 2028-29 term, India still struggles to get a permanent seat in UNSC. Before I tell the intricacies, it will be good to just brush up history for a moment. So soon after the Second World War, in 1945, the great powers of the victorious side, that included USA, USSR and the British Empire, all agreed that in the Security Council of the new organization that was to replace the League of Nations, they should have the power of veto in order to exert a greater degree of control over international affairs. While the Western allies favored to add a 4th permanent member, the USSR opposed the move on the pretext that it would upset the balance of power in favor of the West. However, they eventually agreed to United Kingdom's proposal to add France. Taking note of this development, the USA, despite protests from other great powers, managed to add the Republic of China to the permanent members. However, 2 changes occurred in upcoming years, and that remain the only changes in UNSC structure till now so far. The first change was in 1971 from the Republic of China to the People's Republic of China, and the second one was made in 1991 when the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, name was changed to the Russian Federation. Since China is a big elephant in the room that would not let India enter the room, it is important how come PRC grabbed the UNSC seat. So after the end of the Second World War, China concluded its war with Japan that it was fighting since 1937. However, civil war broke out shortly after between communists supported by the USSR and the nationalists supported by the allies in China. After 4 years of bloody civil war, the communists managed to take over all of the mainland, and the nationalists had to retreat to the island of Taiwan. Republic of China, which we know as Taiwan, was continued to claim the entirety of the mainland and its status as the sole representative of China on the international stage. Therefore, a problem has risen with a great power being represented by two entirely different countries. The Soviet Union and its allies have recognized that the People's Republic of China, while the Western nations continue to recognize the Republic of China, since removing or changing the seat of the Republic of China from the Security Council would require two-thirds majority in the General Assembly and majority of 9 out of 15 in the Security Council, where the Republic of China held the veto, no change has been made. However, over time, the international position has shifted in favor of the People's Republic of China. But the Republic of China has continued to represent China without problems until 1961. In this year, the General Assembly has decided to name the question of the representation of China an important question which would require two-thirds vote to change China's representation in the United Nations. Even though it did not change the country, it was the first step towards that change. In 1971, Albania, being the closest ally of the People's Republic of China, presented the resolution, quote, to expel forthwith the representatives of Chiang Kai-shek, who is the President of the Republic of China, Taiwan, and restored the rights of the People's Republic of China, unquote, which means throwing the Republic out and inviting the People's Republic. Other resolutions were presented to allow both to enjoy representation, but they all have failed. The United Nations General Assembly Resolution 2758 was adopted on the 25th of October 1971 with 76 voting in favor, 35 against and 17 abstentions and two-thirds non-voting. The People's Republic of China began representing China on the 15th of November and took part in the first United Nations Security Council meeting on the 23rd of November that year. India first applied for permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council back in 1955. However, at that time, India's bid for permanent membership faced resistance from some member states, particularly the same United States and the Soviet Union, who were the existing permanent members of the Security Council. India's application was not successful due to various factors, including geopolitical considerations and the dynamics of the Cold War era. The existing permanent members were hesitant to expand the Council's permanent membership as it would potentially dilute their own influence and power within the Council. Meanwhile, you may have heard from some quarters that former Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in 1955 had declined an offer for permanent seat to India in United Nations Security Council, and some says that perhaps they blame that Pandit Nehru, that China got the permanent UNSC seat at the cost of India, as Pandit Nehru declined the seat and rather recommended China. So here is the fact check from the pages of the Hindu newspaper dated September 28, 1955. The paper published Jawaharlal Nehru's statement in reply to a question in the Lok Sabha on September 27, 1955 by Dr. J.N. Parekh on whether India had refused a seat informally offered to her in the United Nations Security Council. The Prime Minister said, quote, "There has been no offer, formal or informal, of this kind. Some vague references have appeared in the press about it which have no foundation in fact. The composition of the Security Council is prescribed by the UN Charter, according to which certain specific nations have permanent seats. No change or addition can be made to this without an amendment to the Charter. There is, therefore, no question of a seat being offered and India declining it. Our declared policy is to support the admission of all nations qualified for UN membership, unquote. The Indian delegation to the UN has been advised accordingly. The newspaper further said, India has repeatedly supported the People's Republic of China being given its legitimate place in the United Nations. During the current session of General Assembly, a proposal to this effect was supported by India, unquote. So P5 do not want to dilute their position. However, of late, US, France and UK have supported India for permanent seat. But perhaps they supported India because they know that it will be vetoed by China. This is one single country with veto that does not want India in the UNSC. We have seen that China blocked India's every move to blacklist global terrorists, whether it is Maulana Masood Azhar, Hafiz Saeed, or recent UNSC listing of Sajid Mir. At the time of partition of Indian subcontinent between India and Pakistan, many issues cropped up and appeared before the UN. These issues included the disputed princely state of Junagadh, Hyderabad and Kashmir, which were ultimately incorporated into the Indian Union through the use of military force, as we all know. The most prominent and persistent of these disputes was the Kashmir conflict. The then PM Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru had huge trust in the UN and adhered to its principle unequivocally. He decided to refer Pakistan invasion in disputed Kashmir to the UN Security Council in January 1948. The United Kingdom, which was instrumental in creation of Israel, wanted to project a pro-Muslim image in the aftermath, used pressure tactics on its allies France, Canada and the US to support the Pakistani viewpoint that Kashmir's accession to India was disputable and had to be put to the test of a plebiscite. Nehru's hope that the UN would unconditionally instruct Pakistan to vacate the one-third portion of Kashmir that the Pakistani tribesmen and army had occupied fell flat in the face of geopolitical maneuverings and cross-issue linkages. Though Russia, US, UK and France supported India, yet India does not has protection on this sensitive issue till now, until it has get the veto power or as a UNSC member. In 2004, India, Brazil, Germany and Japan came together to form G4 group to mutually support each other candidature for permanent seat in UNSC, and G4 is a very potent group. India in April 2005 submitted a formal proposal to the UN General Assembly titled, quote, Reforming the United Nations, Need for Expansion of the Security Council, unquote. This proposal called for the expansion of the UNSC, including the addition of permanent seats, and highlighted India's qualifications for permanent membership based on its size, population, economic strength, and the global influence. Besides G4, South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Mexico, and Indonesia also expressed their desire to have a permanent seat in UNSC. It is interesting to note that while Brazil, Japan, and Germany and South Africa desire to have a permanent seat, but unlike India, none of them applied formally in UNSC. India gets opposition from China, but Germany does not meet opposition from anyone of the P5. But the UNSC is already too West dominated, so Germany cannot be allowed in all alone. A case therefore is also being made for South Africa and Brazil. But if one of them gets in, how can India be denied the seat? The process of becoming a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council involves proposal or initiative that follows negotiations and discussions. General Assembly resolution passed by a two-thirds majority of the member states present and voting. Thereafter, the existing permanent members, if want, can block a resolution using their veto power. In simple terms, any of them can block any changes to the UNSC's composition. Therefore, The approval of all 5 permanent members is necessary for a country to become a new permanent member. If the proposal to expand the permanent membership receives the necessary approval, an amendment to the UN Charter is required. This amendment would formally revise the composition of the Security Council to include the new permanent members. After the Charter amendment is adopted, it needs to be ratified by the member states according to their respective constitutional processes. This step ensures that the amendment is legally binding and integrated into the UN Charter. So, UNSC depends on the global geopolitics, international relations. Prime Minister Modi, through various international events, is trying to play a significant role in advocating for India's inclusion and promoting its candidature. The process of expanding the permanent membership of the UNSC involves diplomatic efforts, negotiations, hard negotiations, and consensus building among the member states. India has done enough to merit a permanent seat. As an integral part of the global south, Africa holds great significance in shaping global policies that address pressing issues such as poverty eradication, sustainable development, and also climate change. That is how the initiative like Voice of Global South, FIPIC Summit, or even though G20 presidency, India is trying to project herself as global player who cares for all, and a call of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam resonate in that effort. Similarly, by championing Africa's cause, India recognizes the need to harness the potential of the continent and uplift its nation to achieve a more equitable world order. It's one of the largest contributors to the troops to UN peacekeeping missions. India has supplied the third world with an inordinate number of COVID vaccines. India became the pharmacy and software house of the world as of now. And India has a glittering diaspora all over the world. It has made a point to prove that it has influence all over the world, and India's military and diplomacy together is capable of rescue and evacuation of its own citizens, whether it is COVID-19 or Russia-Ukraine war. Not only India cares for its own citizens, but also save neighbors and even Pakistani citizens requesting for help. But seems the permanent 5, the P5, particularly China, is not listening. To strengthen its position, India has cozied up to big powers. It has joined the Quad Alliance and the I2U2 alliance involving the US, India, Israel and UAE. The Quad is perceived as anti-China and I2U2 anti-Iran. India is not anti-Iran, but to please USA, it joined I2U2. India, in a bid to even please China, has joined the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, which is China-centric, projected as anti-US grouping. India is also a part of BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. BRICS is also perceived as anti-US, although India has stopped BRICS from indulging in anti-US rhetoric. India is also part of the G20 and is often invited to take part in the G7. So, in the given situation, China is not going to support India's candidature. Given this unpalatable fact, India has two options: either create situations or force China to mend its ways in India's favor, or otherwise to have strong bilateral and multilateral relations with influential countries to nullify any veto attempt on issue of Kashmir, or for that matter an issue that may harm India's interest. Perhaps with this perspective in mind, one can understand PM Modi's continued effort to extend India's soft power, an outreach for its military diplomacy, and a rebuke to Mr. Rahul Gandhi ji, who leaves no stone unturned to defame India's democracy on foreign soil, as the government or the BJP says. This also emphasizes by those who project India as Hindu Rashtra, a drift from its constitutional position of a secular nation, harms India's interest in the global arena. What do you think about India's stand for permanent membership in UNSC? Do write in the comment box. Thanks for watching National Defense. Jai Hind, Vande matram.